Then I started hearing a woman at the background crying. And I said, who is that and what's happening? He said the woman rushed her son to the hospital and they asked her to make a deposit of whether 10,000 naira and she didn't have. And the boy was already convulsing.
Welcome to Mediator Channel. Please kindly subscribe.
The devil is not just important, he's not just interested in you falling. Once you see that the pressure for the temptation is heavy, it's because you are close to a betting season. And he wants you to fall with that seed. If you will bet, you will see that the pressure will lift for a while. So it was important that Adam had not gotten Eve pregnant, because all God would just have done was to have moved to the child like he moved from Terah to Abraham. He would have just continued. If the devil is mounting pressure on you, there's something you're carrying. And sometimes we blame the first Adam. I read one of the books of John Hagee. And the wife, so they co-authored the book. The wife was saying one time he came from work, he was angry and saying that Adam fell and all that, will still be in the garden now enjoying. And while he was saying that, she just went to the kitchen and sliced some apples for him. And came and sat on his laps and gave him apples while he was complaining. Said, if not for Adam, say you have no right to insult Adam because you are eating apples too. Sometimes we forget that for the temptations you face now, it's shared job. They've distributed the job across many demons. In Adam's turn, all that the devil was narrowed on one man. You see, the most difficult temptations look so simple. When you look at temptation of Jesus, you feel, what's special? Turn the stone to bread. Because you don't know how it looks like until you wield it. When you have the ability to prove, and you refuse to prove, that's power. And when Adam fell, God came, showed them the consequence. You read from verse 11, and he said, who told you that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree which I told you that thou shouldest not eat? And he said, the woman whom thou gave me to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And the Lord said unto the serpent, look at it. He didn't say, serpent, what have you done? He said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed. That's what he said. You're cursed. Above all the cattle, above every beast of the field, upon thy belly thou shalt go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. He went straight to work, and look at the wisdom of God. Pastor mentioned it. And the Lord said unto the serpent, look at the next verse now. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman. Straight up. That's not a curse, that's a blessing. It is important they must not partner with the devil. And between thy seed and her seed, straight up introduce the seed. If he said the seed of Adam, we understand that's the falling seed. But immediately start pointing us to the fact that a time will come that the woman will carry a seed without the man. And look at it. And it shall bruise thy head. When you bruise the head of a snake, you kill the snake. And thou shalt bruise his heel. So Christ was bruised for us. This was the prophecy. And unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. And in sorrow shalt thou bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. So you know a bad husband is judgment. And look at verse 18. Okay, verse 17 now. You know when you look at the snake, he said, you are cursed. And look at it, he said to Adam, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree, which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. It doesn't make sense. I felt he ought to be cursed, looking at the gravity of what he did. But immediately, the law of substitution came in. I can't curse my kind, but the ground is cursed because of you. It's a consequence. Now it will not yield in his strength. Look at it. Look at it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and in sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. Verse 18. and and all thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. You know what it means to get food through thorns and thistles? It is not that you won't have harvest, but the injury compared to the harvest is a lot. And unfortunately, this is still the experience of many Christians. They are getting things but through thorns and thistles. That's not the plan of God. And of course, what happened? The next verse, quickly. In the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread, till thou return to the ground, for out of it thou wast taken. For the dust thou art, and unto the dust thou shalt return. You see what he said to the fallen man? The dust thou art. You want to understand the word the dust thou art? Go back just a bit more to verse 14. Verse 14. And the Lord said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above all the beasts of the field. Upon thy belly thou shalt go, and dust thou shalt eat. If the fallen man is dust, is the food of the serpent. If you remain in your fallen state, never you think you are so powerful that he can't take you down. You are his food. The fallen man is the food of the serpent. He said, dust you are, dust you return. All this power I will give thee, and the glory of them, for that he is delivered to me. So the devil was negotiating for the glory of this world with Christ. And he said, someone delivered it to me. So man lost it when he fell. The second thing that fell when man, or that went wrong when man fell, is nature fell. You look at certain lamentations in Psalms 51 verse 5. Psalms 51 verse 5, that was a big complaint. For, look at it. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceived me. You look at Romans 5 verse 12. Romans 5:12, quickly. Romans 5:12. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death through sin. So death passed upon all men, for all have sinned. You want to see a clearer picture of this? You read Romans chapter number 3. Say, there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none holy. All have gone astray. Their mouth has become like an open sepulchre. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Number 3. Man's relationship with God fell. In Genesis 3:8, he began to hide. Number 4. When he fell, creation went down with him. Everything started losing the true color, the essence. Everything began to malfunction. And you know why that is? Because everything God made, he made for man. He made everything for him. Now we start having bacteria and having viruses, having algae and all the likes of them. Nature fell. There are earthquakes and all manner of issues around the world. Because we're in a fallen world. You'll be amazed. You look at the rumors of war that you hear every day. And some of you probably don't even know the intensity. Because you don't have siren announcing that a bomb is about to land on your head. Let me quickly show you this scripture. Romans chapter number 8, from verse 20 to 22. Romans 8 from verse 20 to 22. Look at it. For the creature was subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who had subjected the same in hope. So there are things that are going around waiting. Look at it, verse 21. Because the creature, sorry please. The creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. Oh, we can say a lot about all this. Man fell from purpose to survival. And that's what is happening. I do tell people, and I'm sorry this may sound harsh, if what makes you move from one location to another is not purpose, you are surviving. If what can change your environment is daily bread or the quality of life and not purpose, you're surviving. Work is not a sin, it's not a curse. Because it brings man fulfillment. Whatever brings you food at the expense of fulfillment should be checked. It's for the fallen man. Are you still with me? And Look up. You want to ask a quick question. Why are people suffering? Are you aware that there's pain around and people are struggling? One time I called a spiritual daughter of mine that was sick in the hospital, and I was praying with her. Then I started hearing a woman at the background crying. And I said, who is that and what's happening? He said the woman rushed her son to the hospital and they asked her to make a deposit of whether 10,000 naira, and she didn't have. And the boy was already convulsing. So I said, tell the doctors that I said they should take that child and every bill is on me. And the moment the woman heard that, you know what she did? He said, no, call pastor and tell him to give me the money. I know where to take the child to. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. I know what is happening now. People are majorly reactional. But with poverty, the devil can control you easier. If somebody, one time, after service, the protocol department came to meet me and said to me that one of us was sick and in the hospital. So I went to the hospital. One of the hospitals here in Abuja. Abuja is a very amazing place. Can be terrible. But thank God for good doctors. Let's give them a big hand. I went there and I saw her. She was packing up. And the Lord said to me, if you don't take this girl out here, she's going to die. So I called him and I said, take this girl away now. And get me the best hospital that can take care of this kind of condition. And then, before you know it, they worked everything and moved her. Within 5 days, we had spent about 16 million for different surgeries. And, of course, she survived. That was when she told me in the office and said, she watched 3 people that went through the procedure they did for her die beside her bed. 3. One after the other. You know, if she had died and there was no money to take care of the situation, we will say God gives and God takes. Poverty can give you theology. Listen, please listen. I'm saying this with pain in my heart. And if you choose poverty, choose it. There are people who have died the deaths that can be avoided because there was no resources for better medical attention. Don't spiritualize what God hates. Poverty positions people for injustice. Just last week, they called me. A spiritual daughter of mine was sick. They took her to UCH. I'm saying it publicly. UCH. They said they called us that they want to perform this procedure, but there's no light. I said, we both know now this girl can't make it if you leave this girl. I said there's no light. So they now say the anesthesiologist is not on ground. We had to call a better hospital in Lagos, got them to give us ambulance, move this girl for me tonight. Nothing must happen. If something happens to this girl, I will mobilize thousands of people who are coming. Have you seen people who talk about, there are things zeal can make you say, we are the nameless and faceless for the move of God. If you're a pastor, and I'm saying this generally, if you don't have a pastor that can help you, we can't help you. There's nothing we can do. When God told Abraham, I will make your name great, you say you are nameless. It's a choice. We don't say anything because you say out of zeal. Before you demonize anything, have it first. Have it. If it's now not good, come back. Something you are secretly working at and praying towards, you now tell people that it's not good. God will judge you. Look at this. Why are people suffering? Why is there pain? Simple answer. Man left God. And now is using the fallen wisdom to try to defeat the fallen world. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Now, quickly, I'm going to have to jump. I did a lot of stuff here. We noticed, and Pastor Philip said something very, very profound, that sometimes the devil knows what God wants to do ultimately, but he doesn't know the how. And that's wisdom. What the devil doesn't know is that, because the moment God said that the seed of the woman will bruise the head of the serpent, and the devil, that's the serpent. Immediately, the moment we see that they gave birth to two sons, Cain and Abel, and it looked like God accepted the sacrifice of Abel. Oh, could this be the seed? He moved and killed him. The devil began to kill anything that looks like potential, because he didn't know who. He didn't know who. And at some point, he thought to himself and said, if the seed of the woman will bruise the head of the serpent, how about I give the woman a seed? Genesis 6 from verse 1. Genesis 6 from verse 1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, that the daughters were born unto them. Look at this. This is a strategic verse. That the Son of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and took them to be wives. When you read this scripture and you see that angels fell and began to commit immorality with women, it wasn't lust, it was strategy. From the beginning, you read scriptures like, and there was war in heaven. How did the devil manage to convince several angels to fall? And the Bible didn't say there was riot in heaven. There was war. Not riot. War. That's a specific word. What was his campaign? He began to campaign. And that's his biggest campaign. That God is not fair. God is not just. Look at the Godhead. Where are angels represented here? We are not there. So I want to lift my throne in the side of the north. I want to be like the Most High. Can I not be among them? Why should we have the Father, the Word, and the Spirit? How about the Father, the Word, and the Spirit, and I, Lucifer, as the head of the angels? How about that? And he was able to run a campaign and convince several angels. And the Bible said he still drew 1/3 of the stars of heaven. That's another word used for angels. So when he fell, 1/3 of angels fell after him. And I learned that in building structures, that rebellion is tough to the degree that the rebellious is close to power. That's what makes rebellion tough, to the degree that it's close to power. What did he do? So while the sons of God, angels, came to sleep with daughters of men, what were they doing? They were trying to introduce hybrids. Let's contaminate them. And so that if at all there will be a plan for redemption, through that angels will be saved. So the devil was positioning himself for salvation. But God had two choices. Ignore and allow him spread. Just like any carcinogenic cells begin to metastasize and start as a simple lump, start spreading across different healthy tissues. Wrong seeds can overtake good ones because they spread faster. So God had to make a choice. What should we do now? So he decided. And that's what is going to happen at the end. Those who are on my side, get into the ark. I have to wipe off this seed of the face of the earth. So when you look at the flood in the book of Genesis, that's God's greatest act of love in display. He had to watch them perish because they chose the devil. As long as the angels have become fused with man and now they are hybrid and they have a material of the earth, something of the earth can kill them. So he had to use water and wiped all of them and started afresh. That's how keen God is when it comes to saving you. It was his love in display. He will do everything. Pull the mountains aside. Walk over the sea. Just to get to the last sinner that needs to receive the gospel. You think God just loves to destroy, and so he just want to come around and say, what should we do now? let's pour water. That's not what he was doing. Okay.
Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe, share, like, and comment. See you next time.